Hi everyone, it's your favorite nurse, Nurse Peju. Welcome back to my channel, and if you're brand new, welcome. All right, just a quick background. I've been a nurse now going on 2 decades, mainly in cardiology and nephrology. And I love teaching. I believe when you teach people, they're usually empowered and easily can succeed. So that's why we're here today. But remember, even though I'm your favorite nurse, I am not your personal nurse. So be sure to check with your healthcare provider regarding everything we discuss, okay? All right, let's get started. Our topic today is mother oil. Yes, should I use palm oil? Is the question of the day. All right, so quick background. So I am from Nigeria, and Nigeria is one of the highest producers of palm oil. And believe it or not, palm oil is literally everywhere. It's almost all of the products, from shampoos to cookies to cooking, well, the obvious one. So however, along the line, palm oil has gotten a very negative reputation over the years. So the question now is, should we use palm oil or should we not use palm oil? And that's what we're going to answer today. So before I got started, I did a lot of research, just pretty much seeing what research has to say. And believe it or not, some say good, some say bad, and there are a lot of controversies about what it does and what it doesn't do. But for the sake of simplicity, so there's usually the palm oil from the fruit, and there's the palm oil from the seed, which is usually known as the palm kernel oil. Not that it makes any significant difference, but we need to first understand that palm oil is actually a good thing. However, it's also rich in saturated fats, and saturated fat is usually linked with the increase in the LDL cholesterol, which is the low density lipids, which is actually not good for us. So that's really where the bad part of it comes from. But there's also some good to it, and it's really important that we actually look at it properly. And palm oil, just FYI, 1 tablespoon of it is 14 grams of fat, 114 calories, and it has 5 grams of unsaturated fat and 7 grams of saturated fat, and it also contains about 11% of vitamin E. So just basic facts about palm oil. So the question still remains, is it something we should use? Yes. So first thing first, when some of the studies actually looked at the benefits of palm oil, they found that taking 2 to 3 tablespoons of palm oil over an 8-week period actually helped in the cholesterol lipids of the body. But again, let me emphasize 2 to 3 tablespoons over an 8-week period. Now, they didn't say what type, how it was processed, those type of things. So which is what I really want everybody to think about. Let's remember that when most of the palm oils are processed, there's a lot of bleaching, there's a lot of deodorization, there's a lot of things that have been done to actually refine it so that we can use it. And then by the time it gets to us, most of the time, most of those good nutrients don't get to us, really is what I want to focus on. And then another study actually was done for the school-age kids, and they found that giving the school-age kids 1 teaspoon, which is about 5 ml, was actually very good for their vitamin A level. And when compared to those that actually got the supplements, they had a significant amount, much better than those kids. So again, those are some of the positives. And then it also was good for pregnant women. Again, quantity, the amount, the quality. And there was another study too that was shown that said, no, it's not so good for pregnant women. All right. So again, different countries make palm oil. The way they probably will make it in Nigeria will be different from the way they make it in Indonesia. And then, you also have to see, also remember that they're also being processed. How are they processed? How friendly is it? Is it being processed? So those are the type of things you need to consider when you're thinking about palm oil. However, I need to share a very interesting story that really impacted the way I viewed nursing as a whole and teaching and just people. Some while back, I actually went on a medical mission, and a lady came in. She had had stroke, but she did not even realize that she had had stroke. Half of her body was just literally paralyzed. And just out of curiosity, I asked her about her diet. And she told me, oh yes, I drink palm oil every day. Even when I use it to cook, and when I don't cook it, I drink it. And I asked, how much of this do you drink? She's like, at least a cup. I'm like, wow. So along the line, people have been told and been taught to believe that palm oil is really, really good. And some went excessively to that belief, taking excess of it. So it's really important to emphasize that anything that we do excessively or take excessively, it starts to become not so good. So I just thought that was a very interesting story to share, because it really, obviously as a nurse, I was just blown away that this lady would drink this so much of it because somebody along the line has told her that palm oil is good for you, and then she was just taking it. So it's also important to remember that palm oil is good for you, but you have to take it in moderation. And during the time of my research, I actually found a one-pager that was released by the NIH just to help us to guide us the amount of saturated fats in all of the oils. And they recommend the oils that we should take more of and the ones that we should take less of. Just a brief way of thinking about it. If the oil is at room temperature is solid, it usually means that it has more saturated fatty acid in it. And if it's liquid, it probably has less. So they recommend, obviously, as you know, olive oil, high up there in canola oil, and down there they have palm oil, they have butter, and they have coconut oil. Yes, I know, right? But they are good. Remember, all these things, they are good for us, but it's all about quantity, processing, and quality. Another thing that I found, which I know I've heard before, but just having a research to back it up is always a good thing, was that the palm oil that was reheated and reused significantly increased the amount of plaque deposit in the arteries. What that means is that the plaques, which is like clusters of oil or fat, was increased, and the more it was being reheated and used, it increased the plaques, which is not a good thing. You don't want plaques because it increases your risk of cardiovascular disease, which is what we don't want. Another thing that was also found that certain in too much consumption of this thing is actually related to, well, obesity, which is obvious, the increase of fat. And then what I thought was even more interesting was that it actually affected the way it affected insulin tolerance, which means that it would at some point increase the risk of type 2 diabetes. So all that being said, this is one of the things I really want us to focus on. It's good, but it's good only in moderation. Let me also remind everybody, 2 tablespoons to 3 tablespoons is sufficient enough. Now, do you need to have that every day? Probably not. It's maybe a good idea. Actually, it's a great idea to actually substitute it with olive oil, canola oil, flaxseed oil, those type of oils, because they also have their own benefits. And that is the way you have to think about it. Any type of oil, really, you don't need to take too much of it unless it's recommended by your healthcare provider that you need some excess of that, or maybe you're lacking in it. So again, moderation. Now, any type of oil, really, reheating it and reusing it is probably not best. Number one, it takes away from the good qualities and it adds more in the bad qualities, which makes it even worse. So whatever we do with the oil, make sure that at most 1 time is the recommended, at worst case scenario, 2nd time use. And just from my background, I know I'm definitely guilty of this one, so this is something I also have to work on. And so the challenge this week is, what are you going to do differently? Which oil on the list? I'm going to, if I've not said that already, I'm going to add the one pager that was released by the NIH to guide us so that everybody has access to that. Which oil are you going to be switching to? And then we have to talk about our pillars. Pillars, we found a way to reduce the bad cholesterol in our body, which is always good. And we also found out that it's also good for our brain development. And another thing, emotionally, it's always a good feeling to know that we're empowered and we can do something good for ourselves. And spiritually, we have to be good stewards of our body. And knowledge is power. Like they always say, my people suffer for the lack of knowledge. I hope this information you found very valuable and you find very useful. And please be sure to share in the comment below what you're going to be doing. And just FYI, we are very close to 100 subscribers. Please and please continue to share this content. And we certainly are going to celebrate once we get to the 100 subscribers. I might just do something special. But until then, keep smiling. Remember, it's your favorite nurse. And I hope you stay smiling. Life is hard enough as it is. I hope you find a reason out there to smile. Until next time, bye.